Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Hideout podcast. We are back with our weekly ECW review. I'm, of course, Rhys. I'm here with Liam.
Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. When we say weekly, we mean bi-weekly.
Well, we've only done 2 episodes and we've had the channel for about a month, so it's kind of like every 3 weeks, but it's a work in progress. Time zones are difficult. Um, right, this is the September 20th edition of ECW. Now, before we went into this, did you remember anything from the previous week's
I
episode?
did. I
Yep,
did. I did. I remember the Cactus Jack winning the tag team titles with
yep.
Mikey Whiplash. I remember the world's sexiest man, Paul Heyman's clone, Jason.
Jason.
Uh, Jason. I also remember that the intro was different again. I I don't quite understand what's going on here because in the intro it seems they're showing bits of stuff that happened in 98, 99 for intros in 94.
Yeah, you gotta love the network version. Now, do you remember Shane Douglas throwing down the NWA title?
I do. We did an entire promo on it.
Well, are you sure? Because once again, for the third week running, we have the opening scene being him throwing down the title with the promo. So just in case you
Do
forgot,
you think they
I said just in
try
case
not
you
to do
just in
that?
case you're forgetting, he threw the title down. We've seen it now 4 weeks in a row. So try to remember, okay?
I'll probably forget next week and need to see it again.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's overkill. It's so overkill.
Just did have a quick question.
Yep.
Uh, when do they bring in the ECW belt that I remember?
I want to say roughly around when Raven has it, so probably like mid 95.
Okay, because this one looks like a toy they bought from Toys R Us.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Right.
Fair
So we had that lovely video package of him throwing down title again, and then we went into a promo with Shane Douglas and the original Doink, Matt Bourne, just rambling. Now I have some very strong thoughts about this promo. Anything you want to say first?
Needs to shave his back.
Yeah, I didn't write that down, but I did think that. Douglas is just kind of like
Um,
rambling.
yeah, it's Doink's certainly on something, in my opinion, at this point in time. Because when you look
Yep,
in his eyes,
he's glazed.
they're not all there. But bearing in mind they have done a Dark Side of the Ring on him,
Yep.
which I actually haven't seen. It's one of the only ones I haven't seen. So, kudos for research, Liam. Um, Shane Douglas, I think at this point in time, he looks like he's a little fatigued from going on about the same thing constantly, and he seems to be running out of things to say. And to me, it looks like he's reading the promo off a placard behind the camera.
It was just the same like sentence, but the words changed around. All I heard was NWA, RIP, 1995, 1994, NWA, RIP. And by the end of it, because this is like a 4 minute long promo, I was just kind of over
Yeah,
the episode.
yeah. One criticism I do have so far of ECW, it could be a criticism and it could be a good thing if it's done correctly. Is there's a lot of promo packages and a lot of going back to last week
Yeah.
and not a lot of wrestling. I think I counted 15 minutes of wrestling in the entire 45 minutes.
So one thing I think the weekly ECW show does well, touching on what you said, is they're really good at having really small matches and these little promos and then like one featured long length match. I really like that because it helps keep the episode interesting and broken up. But when it gets to the third or fourth week in a row and we've seen the same thing over and over and over again, you can tell that they're just stalling time because they didn't want to pay extra people for their house shows.
It's not quite Car Crash TV, though, is it? It's not quite
No,
Vince Russo 97, 98, 99. Um, like, because Raw is War was like a vignette, 5 minute match, backstage promo, vignette, 10 minutes match, backstage promo. It's not quite there, but I can
no.
see that can see that he may have got the idea of it from the ECW.
Yeah, I would definitely say late 90s WWE, or WWF at the time, does Crash TV much better. This is they could have replaced half these Shane Douglas segments we've seen before, because I'm almost certain we've seen this promo before, and they could have replaced that and just put, I don't know, the amount of jobbers we had on this episode. Put a jobber in there against Dean
Oh
Malenko
yeah,
for 5 minutes, you
yeah.
know? Because once this one's over, we lead straight into another promo. But this one, I actually really enjoyed this one with Mikey and Cactus Jack. Um, Now we spoke about Cactus Jack before. I don't know if that's just because I'm a big Cactus Jack fan, and I know you like Mick Foley, but this stood out like majorly above everything else so far on the show.
He's quite clearly top talent and shouldn't be in ECW at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because love it or hate it, ECW wasn't the WWF,
Nope.
wasn't WCW, and he should have been, like upper mid card, scraping at top event in WWE at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the comparison to those two, but to be honest, he's probably not even Smoky Mountain at this point. Like, this is ECW bottom tier.
Yeah, this isn't the ECW yet that it is in the 97, 98, 99, 2000.
Yeah,
We're on the build up to it.
yeah.
So looking at this ECW now, it does remind me of how Impact has become a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Yep,
Impact's starting to go
yep,
on the way up again, but they've got the same sort of crowd numbers, the same sort of atmosphere,
yep,
the you know the same sort of talent
yep.
to an extent. Not. I know Impact has standouts, but
Oh, your mic has died. Sick.
sorry about that. We're trying to make this easier for you to edit, and it's just fucking.
This is the worst one to edit so far. Oh
Oh,
dear.
right. Where were we?
Talking about Cactus Jacks and Mikey's promo.
So, you know, digressing from what I'm saying about Impact, Cactus Jack is in his prime here, in my opinion, with his speaking. Mikey Whiplash does look a little bit like a deer in the headlights when it comes to promos with him.
Yep.
Um, he's dressed like a typical 1990s LA street thug as well. It's hilarious.
I thought that.
Didn't you tell me that Michael Whiplash goes on to be ECW champion?
I believe so. He definitely picks up the television title a few times. I think he also becomes the heavyweight champion at one point.
He goes on to be quite, because at the moment he looks like he doesn't really know how to wrestle.
No, he goes on to have a very, very decent career, which I don't think anyone expected. But kudos to him because he's actually super talented.
And is this Chris Canyon, the Who Better Than Canyon guy?
Oh yes,
This is the Chris Canyon,
this is
right?
the
God, he
Chris
looks a
Canyon.
lot different. That he look because I remember seeing him in Invasion, because they used him in Invasion for a while,
Yep.
and he don't look like that then.
No, this is early,
He's
early
lost a lot
days.
of his muscle.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
early days Canyon. This is
didn't
before he
he?
was even was it Mobius, whoever it was in
Oh
WCW where he feuded
wow!
with Glacier.
Yes, yes, I have seen some of that. Oh, WCW when they went all Mortal Kombat for a while.
Yeah, because I was reading somewhere they wanted someone to come in as another Mortal Kombat-esque character. It was a big, big name. I think it was Rob Van Dam. I think they wanted to bring RVD in and have him be like Scorpion or something, which Eric Bischoff all over.
That's before the NWO, isn't it? Just before the
No,
NWO.
that's peak NWO. That's like 97, 98.
Is it peak NWO?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. They went all cinematic, didn't they, for a while?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So,
cinematic ice machines.
Ted Turner. There was no. One thing I'll say is there was no Paul Heyman on this show.
Not until very, very end, which surprised me. Because even during this point, when you think of ECW, he's still quite a big vocal, like voice of the company. we've seen him predominantly on across the last few episodes for sure. Him and Todd Gordon, and then we get him sort of at the end for what, 2 minutes, and there's no
I
Todd
think
Gordon anywhere.
this is when Todd Gordon started to lose control, I believe, around this time.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
think so.
when people talk about ECW, they instantly go Paul Heyman. He isn't actually the original founder.
Nope.
He was brought in and kind of took it over. Because Todd Gordon just basically gave up.
Well, when Todd Gordon first established ECW, Paul Lee was in WCW running the Dangerous Alliance and all sorts. Because
Yes.
Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert would have been the booker at the time.
Did Jim Ross fire him? Did I hear that? Or was this before Jim Ross had any control?
I don't know.
Or did
This was roughly around when Eric got the EVP status and decided to get rid of all the old guys.
93, yeah?
Yeah, like 91, 92, 93-ish. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so what were your thoughts on the next match then?
yeah. It wasn't really much of a match. It was two jobbers. I call Canyon a jobber, but in this time frame he is against the tag champs with a run-in from the Public Enemy. Have you ever
Never
played
finished.
a right? Have you ever played a wrestling game?
Uh,
Okay. Have you ever gone into the
I
trade?
had them all from WCW on the N64 all the way. I stopped buying them around about 2009.
Yeah, when they got a bit shit.
So I played all the good ones.
Yeah, but did you ever go into Character Creator, start messing around, and then just get fed up because you wanted to play the game and just put them in the most generic looking plain clothes you could find?
Absolutely. I used to sometimes spend 45 minutes trying to make a character I enjoyed and then just going sod it and pressing whatever.
Just smashing X, yeah. Canyon's partner in this match, with his red spandex trousers and his too tight cut off t shirt because it doesn't fit his stomach, looked like your classic creator wrestler. Like, that's all I could focus on. Like, he looks like a jobber, which isn't a good sign. And
I
the match,
can't even remember what his name was, if I'm honest with you.
me neither. I haven't even wrote it down. I just put Canyon's partner. Like, that's peak jobber. So, the match itself, it just ended because the Public Enemy ran out and we had a big old brawl. I personally don't have many thoughts on this. I don't know if you do, but it was
No,
just a
it,
brawl.
it ended really abruptly. It ended really abruptly, and then it cut straight to Two Cold Scorpio. And I was like, what happened in the last bit?
Right?
They were going out, there's no backstage, them beating each other up, and there's nothing, there's no finish like we're used to in modern WWE anyway.
It was kind of like they were just like, "Oh, we beat each other up. You know what? Let's just go relax now. Let's just brawl up the ramp." Um, Lots of no selling. Lots of no
Very,
selling. Even for
yeah,
like ECW
lots.
standards, so much no selling. Like, just take this chair shot to the
I
head
would
and then punch
say
this dude.
I would say that the quality of the wrestling this week has dipped so far.
Yeah, it
So far.
out of the episodes we watched, this was definitely I was super amped for it. And I think the biggest problem was having the three promos back to back to start the show did not help because I've seen that Shane
Also,
Douglas thing to death.
also, can I just comment on Joey Styles' headset? Very, very early 90s. That's massive, that headset.
Yep, and he's not
And
got
his
a big
head is
head.
so small.
Yeah. I had that as well, to be honest. I glad it wasn't just me.
It didn't look very comfortable, that thing on his ear, because it's the one head thing with the,
Yep.
you know, and it's got the clip on his ear. And is Joey Styles the only person you don't really see the commentators in ECW at this point, do you?
I I don't think it's until around 2000 that they have a table where they commentate from.
Right.
I believe all the Joey Style stuff at this point and for a long, long time, like years wise, was all done in post production. I believe they filmed the matches and then he did the commentary over the top of the matches in the studio.
Didn't WWF do that at one point?
Yes, and
I
it
do
was
seem to
horrible.
remember.
I think that's how
Do
they had.
seem to remember.
Isn't that how they had Michael Cole start? And it was just terrible.
Yes, because I think they had a commentary team on Raw, but not on SmackDown at first, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And JR was saying that him and the King couldn't do it because there was none of the
Hmm.
the feeling. One. I know it's a little bit off subject. One thing I've noticed in wrestling commentary in general, but especially in WWF, mustn't hurt the pandas, is the ring is right there, but Vince's rules state they have to watch the monitor.
Yep.
So you will see them, and this came up in SummerSlam. I noticed this. You'll see the action in the ring. Michael Cole's standing there. They're literally fighting in front of him, 3 feet in front of him, and he's watching it on the monitor.
Yep, he's going crazy to that little
Stood up,
screen. Yep.
stood up, watching it on the monitor. I just don't understand. Is it because they need to commentate on what we see as the people at home?
I would assume so. I'm assuming it's a production thing. They don't want to pick out on something that the camera isn't seeing. Um, the problem is, and this is going off kilter, but it makes the commentators look really ignorant sometimes, especially during like a run-in, that they try and keep us a surprise from the TV audience. Because you see the crowd going crazy and
Oh,
everyone's just pretending they haven't seen it. Like, I can take the disbelief away from the wrestler because he's the one getting attacked, but when the commentator's looking directly at the ramp, there's no reason he shouldn't see it when the crowd's going crazy. That's one of my biggest gripes in wrestling.
one more thing I'll say about the commentary, and I know I've gone way off subject as I always do, listeners. I noticed recently that the announce table that they're putting people through now is quite clearly a fold up announce table.
Yep.
Doesn't explode like it used to.
Yeah, it just sort of
I
collapses.
noticed it because when they put someone, I can't remember what it was, someone went through a table recently and I saw the hinges around the side of the table. It was clearly a fold up table, and I'm like, you're taking away the whole point of putting someone through a table.
Was it not when Solo splashed someone?
That's it. That is it. It's when Solo. So you
Yeah.
noticed it as well.
Yes. Yes, I did. It's just it didn't register into my head. I was like,
Anyway,
yeah. Oh, Ralph, we digress. Right. Too Cold Scorpio, he cuts a promo. I thought it was better than Shane Douglas's. Wasn't as good as Mick Foley's, but it was short, it was to the point, it was direct, it was over. And that's just how I like my promos.
again, I think Shane Douglas is suffering from fatigue for going on about the same goddamn thing constantly.
Yep.
He's not Roman Reigns. He can't pull it off week after week after week.
I mean, neither can Roman, that's the problem, which is why this Bloodline feud is tiresome now.
I'll stop you there because we will do a video on that for the listeners in the next month. So we won't
Oh,
talk about the
yes.
bloodline today.
Yes, we will, because I'm sure we both have some strong points. Right, we get Too Cold Scorpio versus another jobber. Um, Now,
Jobbers!
I mentioned the last guy looked like a jobber, but this guy, in his surf suit, this is peak 90s jobber. This is your £20 a night and a hot dog type of guy. Like,
You wouldn't get away with wearing that these days. The crowd just wouldn't have it.
no, not at all. And what I don't know if I love it or hate it, but ECW jobber squash matches are surprisingly long, and they get a lot
They're
of
not.
offense in.
They're not the typical Braun Strowman style jobbing matches.
No, but like the jobber here did
Um,
a somersault dropkick off the top rope.
yeah, yeah.
What?
I mean, I don't know whether you'd call them jobbers or enhancement talent, but the quite clearly this particular guy knew how to wrestle
Yeah, he just looked.
in some way.
Yeah, he just looked like he was from the local cash and carry.
Just got this image in my head of him walking away with a hot dog, 20 quid, and a can of beer.
Probably. Maybe a
I'd
line
do
because
it
it's
for that.
ECW.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it's your favorite
I
wrestler.
like. Can I just say,
Yeah, of course.
I know a little bit about Too Cold Scorpio, and I could see that he genuinely was a good wrestler,
Yep.
and he could talk as well. I mean, as you said, he's not Cactus Jack, He could talk. For some reason in my head, I thought he was the same guy that was the cat in WCW, but it's
Oh,
completely different wrestler.
yeah, they are. Two Cold Scorpio's
Completely.
Two Cold's actually good. Like I really like Two Cold Scorpio, and he's still going today.
Is he really?
Still going today on the Independence.
What's
He's in
that,
a
30 years ago?
Yeah, he's still doing his moves like the 450 and the like spinning leg drop and all sorts. Like he's wrestling on the Independence in a place like GCW and stuff. So he's still
He
making that
is
cash.
57.
Yeah,
He's 57. I mean, it's the same age as Sting.
yeah. Like, but Two Cold's amazing, and
Oh, that's where I remember him from, Rhys. The Job Squad.
he wasn't
He was. He was in the Job Squad.
with Al Snow.
Yes,
No
he was. Yeah.
way. Because he was with
Yes.
he was the original Funkasaurus. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, but in WWF he came down with the dancers with Flash Funk.
Yeah. The Job Squad. Al Slow, Blue Meanie, Bob Holly, Gilbert, and Scorpio. Fucking hell.
The problem is, minus off Gilbert, that's actually a pretty talented group. You know?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Too Cold Scorpio now. I mean, got the best wrestling maneuver from the World Observer magazine. Most underrated wrestler. You know, he's ranked in the top 500 best wrestlers. He ranked 33 in 95 and made 200 in 2003. He's what I'd call a middle of the range wrestler. He stayed injury free and he's just kept going.
Yeah, I think with the right push to the top, he could have been a massive star. Because we haven't got to it yet, but you'll see he has a feud with Sandman. And let's be fair, Sandman can't wrestle. I don't care what anyone says, he can't wrestle. And they actually
He's a
have,
cane.
yeah, they actually have some really good matches, which is all on Scorpio.
Scorpio he was in Pro Wrestling Noah for 6 years. He made most of his living in Japan actually.
Yeah, that's why WCW put him on the Korea show, where he threatened to stab
Mm.
our good friends, the Road Warriors, or Road Warrior Hawk, wasn't it?
Don't talk about the Road Warriors because I'll just do a John Laurinaitis impression
Yeah, we have to
because I know he's the brother of. I know he
Yeah,
was a brother.
we got to do an episode on the Road Warriors though. They're such a good team.
It'll be better than doing an episode on People Power, won't it?
There you go. We'll do an episode on People Power. We'll do an episode on the Job Squad. We'll do an episode on the Road Warriors to really hit our niches.
Yeah. Right. So what was next?
Well, obviously, there's no doubt Too Cold got the win, and then we get your favorite wrestler, the sexiest man on earth, Jason, and he's taking on someone, the Rockin' Rebel. The Rockin' Rebel.
Someone.
I was like, I remember that name. No, no, I won't. He was taking on the Rockin' Rebel.
This wasn't a match. This wasn't a wrestling match.
It was painful. It was the best part of this was before the match where Dean Malenko injured the dude. Like my notes here,
Malenko's just walking around hurting people.
my notes here have Jason looks boring. Like turn the TV off, boring, and then hyphen. Thank fuck that was over.
I just can't get over the fact he looks like Paul Heyman, and I just got again without even realizing it. I thought Paul Heyman was in the ring because Paul Heyman hasn't got twinkie tits at this point of his career. You know, he's not so fat in the 90s, is he? So
You know,
I
I
just
can't
thought,
unsee
oh,
it.
Paul Heyman's in the ring again. Oh no, it's Jason.
Yeah, I can't unsee it now that you've said it.
I asked my wife whether she thought Jason was the sexiest man in the world. She said he's only just better looking than me. So
Oof. I mean, that means you're the second sexiest man on the earth.
I'll take it.
You know, considering you say I look like Catcher's Jack, that's probably a compliment.
One serious thing I've got a gripe about. Why haven't they not got Malenko wrestling? He's genuinely one of the best technical wrestlers of his generation. Why isn't he
Yeah,
wrestling?
I'm hoping it's because this was one big show. and they taped a few episodes, and he wrestled one match. And they
It's
just
an interesting thing.
that's what I'm hoping, because if you're paying Dean Malenko to just stand on the apron, you're wasting money. Let the dude have a 5 minute match with fucking the surfer dude. Like, make him
The
earn his payday.
servitude.
Like, make him earn his pay. Put him in a 5 minute squash match with Canyon. Sorted.
Better than Canyon.
Apparently, Jason. Right. My favorite part of this entire show, Joey Styles tells us that Shane Douglas is talking to the Japanese media. And you quite clearly can
Yeah.
tell that they're all American because one of them walks into frame and then walks off.
Nobody spoke Japanese to him.
And nobody spoke Japanese to him.
I
We had,
even thought one of the cameras was just a stick.
like, I don't know how they thought they'd get away with that. It was so blatantly obvious. And then Cactus Jack comes in and puts Douglas over for some reason.
Like they're best friends.
Oh, we started together 12 years ago. I don't fucking believe that. Cactus Jack and Shane Douglas could not have started together. I don't believe that
No.
for a second.
No, I think Mick Foley started probably a long time before him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I hope so.
Well, I mean, to all the listeners, that are interested, I will be doing ECW for a while, but we do have Shane Douglas as our champion for another 7 months.
Oh, yes. We do get some interesting parts though when the original triple threat is formed with him, Benoit, and Malenko. That's pretty good.
Ah.
And then they all leave. So you got to take the good with the bad. Now I'm assuming this
And just,
Japanese. After you.
can I just, apologies for interrupting, can I just follow up? Mikey Whitbread does become world champion in '95 in October. He beats Sandman.
Yeah, I know he has a feud with Sandman. Unfortunately, this is after Woman has left, so we don't get to look at her anymore. But
Don't know whether I can. After we, it's like, I sat there after my comment about how fit she was and realised, fuck. Yeah. Oh,
well, perspective is a wonderful thing.
yeah.
Just live in the moment. Right. Now, I'm assuming this Japanese media comment was because Shane Douglas is defending his heavyweight title the first time ever against Nishimura. Now, after doing some research, Nishimura is a big Japanese legend.
Okay.
But at the time, who the fuck is going to know that?
No, because your average American wrestling fan in the early to mid '90s didn't, one, have a clue, or two, give a flying monkey's fuck about Japanese wrestling.
Yeah, this was very much tailored towards the tape traders, which is fine.
Mm.
But if you're going to put this on your TV show, give us a video package. My God, we've got video packages showing clips from 4 weeks ago. Have a video package of why Nishimura is an amazing wrestler, why he deserves his title shot. Don't just put him in the match.
No.
Like, and why is the world title not in the main event?
I don't understand what they're doing. It's almost like there's no like there's no one actually creatively deciding at this point in time what's going on. It's like it's a bit of a free for all.
Yeah. Now this match was alright.
Yeah, it was all right, and the Japanese dude could wrestle.
Yep.
He really could wrestle. Quite clearly, in my opinion, a better actual wrestler than Shane Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, Douglas looked blown, and it wasn't a long match.
No, because when this match started, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like a 20-minute, like, long match. It's gonna be awesome.
Half the show, Rhys.
Yeah, like the Mick Foley one. And then it was too much time left, and I was like, this is gonna be such a long promo. Because if the title match would have been the main event per se of matches, I can accept that, and then a promo afterwards. It's what it is. But it wasn't. We then had Taz beating up a jobber.
don't like the way Taz is dressed up at this point.
The
Can't take it
Tasmaniac.
seriously. Tasmaniac in the ill-fitting spandex, which shows too much when he's on the floor.
Like, why did we get a Taz jobber match after the world title match? Because this is the first time we've seen Taz in 3 weeks, right? I don't think you've seen
I'm
him in ECW
wondering.
TV.
Also, just to point out, I'm wondering if something went wrong with the last match and they had to throw somebody out. Because I'm tempted to go and somehow try and translate what the Japanese guy said, but he legit didn't look happy. He legit
No,
didn't look happy.
no, it was a
It wasn't
bit.
a word. He legit didn't look happy,
Yeah, there, it was. You can tell with people's tones and facial expressions
especially the
when,
Japanese.
yeah,
No
like,
offense, but especially the Japanese.
yeah, like they're not as, they're more animated than British and American wrestling per se when it comes to promos and stuff. And I thought the same thing. I was like, something hasn't quite gone right, unless he's like an amazing actor, which I doubt, to be honest. Um, I also thought something couldn't have been right there because it didn't seem promo-esque, if that makes sense.
No, no, not at all. Um, I mean, with the final match, as he said, you know, all I've got jotted down all I've got jotted down is Taz versus Jobber. Taz looks ridiculous. Match over very quickly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That was
Like,
it. You know, Taz didn't look very strong either, in my opinion. Not like Taz did in the late '90s.
yeah, this is I believe this is tag era Taz. So he teams up with someone for the tag titles. I can't remember who though. So this is before his like main event run. He's like killing people and has a year feud with like
Promos.
Sabu and stuff. Oh, yeah, it's before all that stuff. This is when he's like some sort of warrior. And I'm wondering if there's some sort of racial connotation along the lines that, like, if we put this on TV today, would there be some sort of like racial backlash? Because something about this whole gimmick and look doesn't seem to
Is
fit well.
Kevin Sutherland, and is it when he was tagging with Kevin Sutherland
Oh, maybe, yes.
or Sabu, because he's won it 3 times.
I know, I believe the Sabu is when him and Sabu are feuding for the tag, for the world title. I believe they win the tag titles together at one point. Very, John Cena, Shawn Michaels like.
But on the subject of Taz, because it is related to ECW, his Fuck the World Championship.
Yep.
It is Fuck the World, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so I found out recently because WWE usually they bring back the $1 million championship very occasionally, and
Yeah.
don't treat it seriously. AEW treat the FTW championship really seriously. They've had 4 different champions hold it.
Yep. Wait.
Had Brian Cage, Ricky Stark, Hook, and Jack Perry,
Well,
and the first three of them.
now after you.
The first 3 of those held the title for a year each.
I believe Tony Khan was a big ECW guy. Has he not been spotted in the ECW crowds occasionally?
He was, wasn't he? And he was also spotted in the WWF crowds.
Hmm.
Someone's found him in a WWF crowd.
So it honestly wouldn't surprise me if
Actually,
he.
much more recently, just before he launched
Oh,
AEW,
really?
apparently someone spotted him. Yeah, like a good 2-3 months before
Oh,
he was
wow.
going to Raw.
Ah,
Imagine him turning up on Raw now. Do you reckon they'd let him in?
no. Um, oh, maybe.
They would, and then they would do something to mock the
Yeah.
crap out. They'd have Triple H come down and say something. They
It'd be the
would.
opposite of the DX invasion. Because everyone was like WCW should have opened the doors and let DX in and get them on your TV.
Apparently, did you must have heard that? So Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were fighting the crew in the parking lot trying to open the door.
Yeah.
They thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, imagine DX showing up on WCW Nitro because they've let them come inside. They either come inside and get them on their
It's
TV, or they don't come inside and look like a massive joke, and WCW win. Like,
Eric Bischoff's story on that has changed about 10 times.
Oh, the Bischoff and Conrad podcast, where they're arguing, and Bischoff is making every excuse under the sun, including being like he couldn't see them in the dark.
Conrad talks to him like how you talk to me when I'm not making any sense.
It's just when
He's
Bischoff is
like, what the fuck do you mean, Eric? You were running WCW. How the fuck did you not know what was going on?
because it was nighttime outside. Eric, it's fucking daylight. I love that episode. That's so funny. But that's
Big
Bischoff.
up Kevin Nash, by the way. His podcast is actually bigger with more views than Eric Bischoff's is now.
That doesn't surprise me because Bischoff's podcast, you can tell it's just full of crap and lies. Like,
I'm not a big fan of Conrad Thompson, if I'm honest with you. Simply because off ago, I tried to get a fucking 20-year mortgage loan and they're still emailing me. I don't even live in the US.
I remember you saying that. Is that a drunken escapade we did?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
I know we've totally lost track of ECW, but ladies and gentlemen, there really wasn't that much to talk about on this week's ECW episode.
The show ends with 911 chokeslamming people, which couldn't have... Honestly, I don't know why. Like... Yeah.
I missed Woman on this episode.
Me too.
Who's the other one? There's Woman and there was... Sandman's wife, is it?
Peaches,
yeah.
Peaches. Yep.
Every time I say Peaches in the house now, everyone sings the bloody song from Mario.
Nice. I don't know the song, and I'm quite happy to leave it that way.
Anyway, should we wrap it up for this episode?
Let's wrap it up. That is
just going off.
Yeah, honestly, if you're debating whether or not to watch the September 20th ECW TV show, don't. Because all the interesting parts will probably be shown on next week's episode for 20 minutes, so you can skip it.
And the only thing worse than this is watching the NWA now.
No, I think I'd rather rewatch this.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to watch Tyrus wrestle.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, our next episode, we are doing a brief episode on.
And your mic has cut out again.
Right. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening this week.
But what's the next episode? You didn't tell me.
Oh, next episode is speaking on the. Next episode is an update on the palaver, which is an English word for bollocks, that's going on with CM Punk at the moment.
Yep. If I can, I'm going to try and coax thoughts and predictions for All In out of you. Because we had
maybe All Out as well, because it's a week afterwards.
Yeah, we'll do a hyper feature. We'll do an All In, All Out sort of super show. Why not?
Fair enough.
Because we were talking about this morning. We both have some strong thoughts. Our next podcast on Monday is on something. I can't remember what the topic was, and I've been editing it. It's the one we filmed like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember what it is.
Fuck me, Rhys. I can't actually remember what it was about.
Well, it's going to be a fun little surprise for all of us. If you ever needed a sales pitch to watch a video, audience, that is it.
Oh, I promise, we're not drinking either. We're both kind of teetotal.
Kinda. Right. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been a car crash of a show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you in the next one.
With a bit more of an organised episode.
Probably not. Bye, guys.
All right, take care, everyone. Goodbye.